So where does the anger come from? When does the anger side of you kick in?
I said anger is a perfectly normal human emotion.
Is it when you've had too many to drink?
When it takes effect on the brain, as I said, that it will cancel out your inhibitions and your inherent neural activities that control your behaviour. When you knock them out, you have no boundaries. Your boundaries become very fuzzy, very weak to how you are in your normal state when you're sober. That's the nature of the drug.
Yeah.
You know, and that's part of its attraction, because it reduces, removes inhibitions. So people feel more confident, people feel more relaxed. It'll temporarily anesthetize the committee within your brain, you know, that constant voice all the time. It'll calm you down a bit. So that's why people drink. I mean, it has an attractive, beneficial, for want of another better expression, but a temporarily beneficial, enjoyable state. But that's very limited. That's restricted to a very small amount of alcohol. Even then, you're exposing yourself to risk. Again, the government, you know, fair play to them. 2016, I think, they came out and said there is no safe level of alcohol consumption. It's the first time in history that's ever been said. I've been shouting this for years, but officially, first time it's ever been said, 2016, there is no safe level of alcohol consumption. So when you drink, people say, yeah, well, you know, when you get up in the morning, walk out through the door, you expose yourself to risk. And that's why in my real house measures, I explain risk in relation to alcohol very simply, and we'll do a video on that, so people can understand. Everybody's level of risk is different, and the after effects, the outcomes, the circumstances of people's drinking can vary very much depending on the individual. And that's why I've geared real house measures for every individual to decide for themselves whether it's acceptable to them. You know, it's about honestly looking at it and then making a decision for you. You know, I'm not saying what's acceptable. If somebody wants to go out and get drunk every day, that's perfectly acceptable as far as I'm concerned. I just feel they deserve to know. Because when I was drinking, even like you said, with all this aggression, with all the fights and all the trouble I was getting into, not once did I ever attribute it to my partner drinking. It was down to the fact that, well, you know, the other guy was aggressive, or, you know, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Any excuse, any justification not to interfere with me feeding my habit, because you protect it with your life. You protect that habit.
Yeah.
And you will lie, cheat, you will do anything to make sure you carry on drinking. And that's what makes it such an insidious disease.
While we're discussing crime and disorder, you ended up in court, which I know is quite painful for you to remember. But the reality, obviously, is alcohol can have a devastating effect on that you become this Jekyll and Hyde character. What makes that character appear?
Well, it's there. It's inherent in some people. That, like, I've never been one to walk away from a difficult situation. And I having an inherent sense of fair play and justice. I mean, I was bullied as a kid because, you know, I said I'm on the Asperger's syndrome. Not that I'm using that as any excuse, but it meant that I didn't fit in. So I felt out. I felt I didn't fit in. So I was constantly trying to, you know, not to walk away from circumstances because I was the odd one out. I was always the odd one out. So I had to stand up for myself. And I think maybe from an early age, it was a sense of protecting myself, you know, that mean, I can remember as a kid, we used to a guy called Titchy Gorman. I mean, he was a little short, stumpy kid, but he always walked around with two hench lads, one either side. Like, he'd come from a rough family up in the Bartig, and he was following his family's reputation, and he was a little bully, and he'd come around and he'd bully, and I can remember coming across him on a narrow pathway in a fairground, and we were walking towards each other, and I knew I wasn't going to let this guy get the better of me. So I stood up to him. So maybe that had an influence all through life, but injustice, difficult. Not everyone goes out, having a fight because life's difficult. But if you're wound up, right, and that could be stress of work, it could be stress within your family, in your relationship. If things are not going right, and you use alcohol as a means of dampening those emotions, it's almost like compressing negative energy and keeping it under wraps. At some point, you have to channel that out. And at some point, if you don't, and you drink on it as a way of coping, then all that is an illusion. You're not coping with it at all, and it can explode and come out in ways that are not socially acceptable, and it's widespread. It's widespread,
and it's on the rise. Obviously, domestic abuse, alcohol fueled people's jobs these days are a lot more stressful.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to do, not enough time to do it.
That's right.
Would you say that drinking is on the rise? A lot more people are partaking than they were.
Well, again, this is controversial whether drink is on the rise. There was in May 2018, the National Office Statistics. They gave a report, an update saying that levels of consumption appear to be non-changing. They appear to be the same. But they were quick to point out that sales data for alcohol always give indications that alcohol is being consumed more than people are claiming to be drinking. They don't tally up. So sales data indicate that there's more alcohol being consumed than social surveys that supposedly give an indication that drinking is on the decline. So either people are buying it and using it to help grow their Bondi trees, or they're washing their cars with it. But I suspect people are drinking it.
Well, I think they must be drinking more because half the pubs in England have shut compared to where they were 15 years ago. And if the consumption's the same, then clearly people are drinking a lot more at home.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's some indication that those who drink, especially youngsters, are drinking more. There are shifts within patterns of consumption within the UK, as you quite rightly say. Where it used to be people would go to the pub, styles of drinking are changing. It's mainly purchased supermarkets, and people are drinking it at home behind closed doors. Now that's the frightening thing, really. You've still got your town centres and the problems associated with, that's why they've tried to bring in 24 hours drinking. Was to allow, some people weren't kind of binging it within the last half an hour. And then all falling out on the street. They've tried to spread out, but there's, again, it doesn't seem to be working. People are drinking around the clock,
Yeah.
So I personally think if I'm being more, optimistic, I will say I would like to be able to say that if anything, it's staying consistent.
Yeah.
But my gut feeling is it's on the increase. I mean, you only need to look in supermarkets. Alcohol used 10 years ago. You'd go into the main supermarkets and alcohol would be down a drinks aisle. Right? That'd be where it was. I used to call it the Isle of Death. Right? Nowadays, It's down every aisle, almost. There are bottles of wine at the end of the fish counter. And I'm thinking, it's in your face everywhere. It's in your face. Even at Christmas, I mean, they have pallets of booze. When to me, a six pack used to be you'd buy 6 cans, with a plastic thing around it. That'd be your bulk purchase. You'd have 6 cans. Now it's like buy 6 crates, And a little thing at the bottom, drink away,
Yeah.
But yeah, buy 6, 3 crates for the price of 2. I mean, if that's not promoting excessive consumption, I don't know what is. And you said you'd have these pallets of booze in the foyer before you even got into the supermarket to buy essentials like bread and milk and butter. You're faced with, well, perhaps alcohol is essential. It was for me. It was great for me. I wouldn't need to have gone any further. I'd have picked up a crate, gone to the cash point, and bang, I'd been off. But the point is, that never used to be. I mean, you go into the introduction of alcohol sales on motorways. What nonsense is that? I mean, there's been no reduction in drink driving deaths in a decade. So what's that saying? And yet they're quite happy to sell it in motorway service stations. I think it's just ludicrous.
Yeah. As we said, we're not trying to stop people drinking or be killjoys or anything. No. We're just trying to make people aware of the dangerous effects that it can have on you if you're drinking to excess. Yeah. Especially within the family.
The balance is one-sided at the minute. What I'm trying to do is to readdress the balance here. People think, like I did, that you could drink alcohol till the cows come home and it not give you a problem. That's and if you get the adverts on television, like I said, all the adverts are everywhere, and it's biased, it's skewed in favour of sales, and it's time that perceptions of risk, the balance needs to come back up, so that people have an understanding what they're up against and make decisions. If they want to go out and get drunk every night, I ain't going to try and stop them, but I think they deserve to know, what they can expect and what their families can expect, because I can tell you from personal experience, it's bloody devastating.
You ended up in prison, which ended up being a positive for you. Can you tell us why that was?
Yeah, the nature of addiction is a downward spiral. I think I was fortunate to get through many years of addiction without encountering severe problems. Because of nature, I mean, there's 3 progressive stages of addiction, and I was in the 3rd stage, where I was experiencing problems with relationships, health, unexpected costs, unemployment, and crime and disorder, and finances. Everything was being affected. So I was very close to rock bottom. For me, it was lucky, because I could have easily killed myself or killed somebody else, and it just got that bad. It literally was. I couldn't get up and get through a day without drinking. It totally controlled my life. And I was a slave and a prisoner to it, and that's where it took me. That's where it took me.
So now you're 17 years sober.
Yeah.
Have you felt the need to apologise to anybody for?
Of course.
Anything people you may have offended in the past or
Absolutely.
Upset?
Yeah, I did. I mean, the guy, my one boss, I mentioned about going into the office, irrespective of circumstances, what I did was unacceptable. And I think, again, I'm not sure, it might be a year, 2 years into recovery, I can't quite remember. But I sent him, I don't know if I sent him a letter or an email or something. Anyway, I asked him to meet me, and we met in town. And give me opportunity then to explain, what had happened, why, my addiction that was, that I was powerless over, but I didn't realise at the time that that they had no contribution really to play in that. So I made my apologies. We had coffee, we chatted, and we partied as friends. And I've done it with other people as well. I done it with my brother-in-law. I did it with my father-in-law. And it's not to seek. I'm not asking for them to forgive me. What I did with my father-in-law, I sent him a letter. I didn't put no phone number on it, no address. I didn't want him to feel that I was seeking forgiveness. I had to wait until it was right in my heart. I wasn't just doing it as something to do. And I apologise. And I said, for the mayhem that I created in his life, I was truly sorry. If I could have turned the clock back, I would. But Jesus, it's just.
Did he ever come back to you?
No, because I didn't give him the opportunity. I didn't give him a route with which he could come back and say. I told him I'd gone to prison, and I said to him, because the situation with him was I got away literally scot-free. So I told him that I'd gone to prison and I'd been punished, and I said to him, if this gives you any satisfaction, then so be it.
Yeah.
But I said to him that I understood now why. I got to the stage, I got to the place where I was, and that I'd found recovery, and I'd been sober for a few years, and I was making amends in order to remove the wreckage that I'd created from my drinking. It's important to do that. I could talk at another time about recovery. There's a lot to it. It's not just about not drinking. There's a hell of a lot more to it than that. But yes, of course, it was crucial to make amends. What I did do, I did send relevant information to one of my former employers, because although they sent me for counselling, the counselling was all about control drinking, which for an alcoholic is a license to die. It's nonsense. But who's telling anyone? So I sent them a published text that they could use for anyone. If they had a similar situation to what they experienced with me, they'd have a better understanding of what was going on. And of course, I made amends to other various people. There's some that I could never make amends to. Luckily, my mum and dad, they were still alive, and they saw me getting well, which was beautiful.
All this is in the book you wrote?
Yeah, it's all in there.
So, I'm sure it's been an interesting read.
Yeah. It's true. I've not pulled any punches. But again, what's fascinating really now is that I had a period of my life before I drank. There was a period of life when I did drink, and there's been a period of life where I've not drank again. And what's interesting is really they're three different people. And I remember a lady in recovery, and her husband said to me, she was the alcoholic, and the husband said that he'd been married to three different women. And I understand that. I understand that.